Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Beautiful hearts, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm certain that you can already feel the frequencies and the energies from my next guest today. He is a channel. He's all about interdimensional communication. He is a channel for the Praying Mantis Beings from Antares. We're going to learn all about that and really the messages for humanity at this time on Earth. Toni Ghazi is with us today. Hi, Toni. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for your audience for receiving. Thank you for your beautiful heart, for your beautiful platform, the beautiful calling, the beautiful courage to talk about these things that, sometimes can trigger people. But when we're triggered, that's how we expand. It pushes us into new boundaries, and into new dimensions. So let's see where this goes.
We're going to see where this goes. We're going to have a channel with you and the Praying Mantis Beings. So first, I would like to talk about interdimensional communication, interdimensional beings. Some would say that we are all interdimensional. And as you channel, you're actually reaching into other dimensions as well. So let's start with your definition of what it means to be interdimensional, or you can even talk about interdimensional beings.
Sure. So look, there are
From
all
our
kinds of
lenses.
ways that we can comprehend the more, right? Like some people can be very defined into, oh, interdimensional world or dimensions is this, and density is that, and I don't know what else is this. Yeah, we are infinite beings. There's infinite ways to experience the infinite, and there is infinite of infinite to experience. So when you get to that level of understanding and realization, you begin, in a sense, like surrendering into needing to understand the specifics of it and just allowing the flow to come in. Because, like, truly, we're always in and out of dimensions. We just don't realize. And we were not taught that we are interdimensional beings. We are taught we're human, you're physical, you're a male, you're a woman, you do this, you do that, you're Lebanese or American or Asian, and all these restrictions, all these limitations. Plus, you add religion, to it. I grew up Christian Orthodox. So I get Christianity, I get Mother Mary and all the deities and the saints. So, but also like within religion, it's compartmentalized, right? And I feel and I believe all of it is trying to understand the more from the best way people are, in their space of how comfortable they feel to stretch. They feel to stretch the limitation. And when you begin with your and like before I answer your questions, I just feel the need to talk about these few like concepts like quickly, because before we get to that point, we need to understand our minds have been designed and brainwashed and trained, whether by us, by our own stories, by our like the culture, if it's families, if it's like stories you read, if it's traumas you went through, experiences were had on you or you did, all of that trains your mind to begin creating a world of limitation. So it's important to understand that beyond the words, oftentimes we say these words, but we don't comprehend what we're saying. Like the praying mantis beings in the past like few months have been really speaking about humanity lives on the surface of the words. Right? So when we say, oh, I'm an infinite being, yeah, you comprehend it, but you're not comprehending the multidimensionality of what that means. Because the acts that you do, the behaviors that you do, the concepts that you're using from you saying, I understand I'm an infinite being is not really, it's giving us clue that you're not understanding what infinite means, right? So when you begin to really challenge your mind and like push the boundaries of what your belief system is, if it's Christianity, if it's Islam, or whatever, or even if you've never believed in God, what the world is, then you begin stretching the boundaries into what is more that I don't know, but somehow I'm drawn to it in a weird way I don't understand, but yet the rest of the world is living one way. Right? We get in a sense pressured, we pressure ourselves, I should say, because we cannot get pressured by anyone else. We pressure ourselves that, oh, the rest of the herd, the world, are like thinking this way. How can I like
Yes.
believe what I'm feeling, what my intuition is really telling me? But when you begin to jump over those small like limitations that we created within our minds, all of these layers, and allow yourself to go into the unknown, and the unknown begins to show you really what's behind the unknown. Because even as I sit here and say, let me define to you what like multidimensionality is, or what dimension is this, I know within my own knowingness, I don't know all of it. I'm probably scratching a small little tiny scratch, like literally a scratch within the infinite. So even as I'm answering these questions, I can only answer based on my knowledge and what I've experienced up to this point, like from the praying mantis beings, but also knowing that my journey is always evolving. We're infinite beings. We evolve for infinity. There is no destination where you stop and you've evolved and I'm ascended and I'm this and there's none of that. We keep on going forever. And when you realize there's no destination, then you surrender into the now moment, because there's no point within the infinite where you have reached a level. So, um, dimensions and I'm sorry, what was the other word that we were using?
Interdimensional beings.
Thank you. Interdimensional beings. Look, I thought my world was my world, that we live on a planet, the sun looks like this, the moon looks like that, there are no aliens, there are no spaceships. Like people talk about them, but I haven't experienced them. So in my mind, although you see it on TV and others have experienced it, until you begin to experience it, then in a sense you're not believing, right? And this is how you stretch your world. But when I began connecting like with the praying mantis beings through my first past life regression, they came to me very like viscerally, and like we can describe how they came later. Through that experience, they allowed me to begin seeing worlds that I know in my mind, there is no shadow of doubt, it came from my head. It just could not have. I don't read books. I've never read books. I try to read books. My capacity to read books is a page maybe, and I'm like lost, and I'm like, I can't do that. I have a brain like explosion. I'm super auditory and I'm super visual, so I love to watch things. I love to hear. I have friends that read like Harry Potter on the weekend. Like, oh my God, I just spent the whole weekend like reading Harry Potter. I'm like, I couldn't go past a page, but I needed to surrender into my own way of learning, and that's okay. But the reason like that I mentioned that is I know I haven't read any fantasy book. There's nothing in my mind that what I just experienced that was outside of my realm could have come from my mind. It could not have, because I just don't read books about fantasies or these ideas and these stretched ways of describing things in new colors. And, so those are the moments where you, in a sense, have a review of your own vocabulary and imagination. And you say, I've never imagined this in my life. It must have come from somewhere. And when you allow that surrender and begin trying to tap into not knowing what you're tapping into and allow them to show you what there is, that's when you begin creating like the communication, and they open up worlds and like portals for you to experience things that are like beyond imagination, right? But also they said this year the praying mantises have been talking a lot about imagination. I thought imagination was me like making something up, right? I'm daydreaming. Oh, kids imagine all the time. Imaginary friends, imaginary this. It sounds so surface, like it's a thing that doesn't exist, but we're making it up. They said absolutely not. They said all of you are actually waiting for contact, for aliens to come, for you to communicate with aliens. You communicate through the active imagination. Because for you, they said, in order to imagine a new concept and a new idea, you had to have had communication with another being or in consciousness or in intelligence for that to give you that data back. Because if something doesn't exist, like it's not even out there for you to tap into it, how are you bringing that data back? That data must. So we've always had contact. We've always, through the active imagination, been in contact with all kinds of consciousnesses and aliens and real intelligence entities, but we weren't told that imagination is the conduit for that. So when you begin restructuring like those things, like those words, and stretching your mind and just have like a life review, like, you know what? Oh my God, like when I imagine that world, or even movies, when like producers and movies and like book writers like come up with really fantasy worlds, you're like, where did they come? That didn't come from nowhere. It came from an actual contact with those beings. And when you empower yourself that, wow, I've been imagining all of my life, then you're like, damn, I've been having communication all of my life since I was a child. And we all do. And then you fall into the world of magic. Like literally, you begin so excited that I have the power. Not that I'm more powerful than you, but I have the tools. I have the power to connect with any being that I want. And by simply having the intention to connect with the beyond, it could be a specific being, it could be a new being that humanity has never heard of. Then you begin receiving like the messages little by little, and you build a relationship with that being, with that consciousness, and you bring a world of and even the act of like connection will change, and the word, and like we go back to when we said how do you like define like density, and how do you find like dimensions. Well, when you begin listening and realizing you're communicating with the beyond, the idea of like defining those things really falls away, because there are so many freaking ways, and there are so many portals and ways to connect and enter and exit and be, through thought, through vision, through heart, through, and it just becomes less defined, which actually is a gift, because the less defined you become on what things are, the more you allow yourself to expand your lens. Even as you go into the unknown, if you're going into it with limitation, that dimension is this, you're not allowing the universe to show you all the other ways to enter that dimension, you know? So words are very important. These concepts are super important, to go beyond the surface of them and really dig deep into what they mean and comprehend what you're saying. Like, we say it so much, like everybody says, I love you, I love you, I love you, in oneness and heart and da 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 da. Well, yeah, I've heard it a million times and I get it. And humanity is doing a good job doing that. And I'm not like judging. But beyond that surface, there's a real meaning when you say unconditional love is love with no condition, period. But humanity, they said, conditionally loves. All of us conditionally love. And until we unconditionally love ourselves, like me, myself, and then humanity, and then all the consciousness that's on earth, unless we exude and vibrate on that frequency, that's when the rest of the populations and the beings that are infinite will come to us. Because like they've joked recently, I was on stage at the channel panel in Sedona, and like they joked, they said, all of you cannot wait. When, like, you know, when are we gonna make contact? When are aliens gonna land? We cannot wait to meet Grace and da 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 da. Like so much excitement about meeting somebody that doesn't look like you. And they said, you go to war with people that look identical like you. You hate your neighbors. You hate people that are, you know, people that look like you, resemble like you, like visually. So there's no fear in meeting somebody else, but yet you cannot unconditionally like love them. But you want a being that does not resemble like you and has a different vibrational frequency than you. You're telling us when we land, you're gonna run to us with an open arm saying, we love you for all that you are? You know, so until we find it within our hearts to love our humanness, meaning Toni Ghazi loves him fully for all of who he is, and then you jump outside and love all of humanity for everything that it is, and all the beings, the rock, the consciousness, the animals, the wind, the sun, all those are intelligent. Once I vibrate on the unconditional love of all, then I can receive what's more than what we created our world is. And I'll stop here because I kind of consciously channeled in a sense.
Yes, all right. I love that you said so much, and it brings up some very good questions, Tony.
Yeah.
All right. So this we are here at New Earth One. We're trying to identify that path of the journey for the awakening ones. So those who have been on the path, we all know. And so as I was listening to you, it really truly does fit, but you've helped clarify it in a really good way because we know the journey is we must come into our heart. And they say that the journey from the head to the heart is the longest journey. It's like stepping onto the moon, right? The first man walking on the moon. But once we get to the heart, wow, that's really important. Then you bring up the self-love and the love of others, the unconditional love. But what's getting in the way, as you mentioned, is this mind programming, the trauma, the belief systems, the programming, right? That needs to be cleared and cleaned up and healed. And then once we do that, we listen. We listen. And that listening is what you've done. And you've trusted in that. And that is, again, it shows that when we listen, it's the imagination, it comes from somewhere. So I love how the praying mantis beings are saying you have to be in your imagination. Really quite fascinating. I want to just share, I've had an experience recently with the Arcturians, and I'll be doing like some yoga poses, and I really feel that the Arcturians are stretching me. And then I get this idea, and now I have to anchor that idea because it is real. What you're saying is it is real. And I remember being on a beach in Tulum, Mexico, looking up at a ship that was blinking in the sky. And I was on the ship that night in my dreams. And the next morning, I woke up after being on that ship in my dreams. And I heard very clearly in this ear, now do you believe that we're real? And it's like, yes. And so just recently, I had another dream just last week, and it was a ship descending to Earth and beings that kind of looked like human, but were not. And it was funny, Toni, because I just kind of walked up to it and kind of just said, and I could feel the unconditional love from all of these beings, but yet I could still feel the trepidation that we as humans have. So I
Yeah.
just walked up and said, okay, we'll see you around. We'll do lunch. Let's do lunch. And then the rest of the dream was trying to find a room big enough for all these beings, which I thought was hilarious. But this is real. This is our own personal journey, isn't it? So,
Yes.
what would you say about this journey from the head to the heart, healing that trauma, listening, and then heart mind coherence takes us quantum into cosmic, galactic consciousness and cosmic consciousness? Can you share on that notion of the awakening journey?
Of course, of course. And look, this whole year, and like for the audience to know, I just began connecting with the praying mantis beings about 2 years ago, like fully. They kind of began about 4 years ago when I was just beginning to awake, but it was very surface, small sprinkles, like
Wow.
over, yeah. So a very new,
So it was
like,
rapid for you. I would
oh
say
my.
that was rapid. Like you're one who awoke rapidly.
I mean, listen, I was with Bashar like 3 weeks ago on the stage. We're all channeling together. With all that, what I call big boys and girls have been in the industry or that have stepped up with complete courage since the 80s. And here comes Toni Ghazi, who woke 2 years ago, like fully.
I
So
love it.
it's
I
it's
love
been
it.
amazing because I've embraced the unknown totally. But also, I I um I almost suppressed myself this past year because many of the messages that the praying mantis like we're bringing through were of unconditional love, of a new way of what unconditional love means. And I struggled in my mind. I disempowered humanity, and I said, I don't think humanity is ready to receive what I'm about to say, or that like they're about to say. I mean, me and them, we're all one, right? They're all, you know and I didn't share a lot of the messages, but since you asked that question, I'm gonna step with courage, and I have been more. And it's not really courage, because courage like denotes there's fear involved. It's not fear, it's just trusting that I'm the messenger, and it's irrelevant whether people believe, get it, not get it. My trust for me is to allow the flow to come through, allow the message to come through, and if it resonates, doesn't resonate, is not relevant. I
See,
am the
that's really important because that's a big question for channels. How is it that you were able to trust and trust and then just step up and put yourself out there,
yeah.
neck on the line, so to speak?
Yes,
That's bold. But there's
totally.
something that you knew within yourself so deeply, right? Like you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt.
100%. Listen, I showed you my car driving around DC saying I talk to aliens. And I live in Washington, DC, guys, driving with this massive decal on the back of my car with aliens and Bigfoot and Mantis being says I speak to aliens and a few other words. So that tells you the visceral connection I had. And it wasn't even a thought that told me to do it. It was a knowingness. It was a download. You need to wake up tomorrow and create a decal. I don't know how to make decals. I'm not a car industry automotive person. I have no clue where to begin, but somehow all the pieces came together. Synchronicity, that's how it works. But let me go back to your question, because the menses have been very like nitpicky, like with me, on the words that we use and how disempowering they are. Again, we talk about the idea of disempowerment, about forgetfulness, about separation, and all these things. But again, it's the surface that we talk about. We're not comprehending like what we're saying. So when you have like posed the question with no judgment, like of course, that we need to heal parts of ourselves. They told me clearly there is no healing that needs to be done. Each and every one of you are perfect design of creation. And what you need to begin seeing, they said, is your life. Have a life review of your life. Every experience, every choice that you made, you will make, and you are making. Whether traumatic, good, bad, evil, in between, is all these colors of judgment. Because creation, they said, doesn't judge. Creation never judges. It sees experiences as expansion. If you're the infinite and you live for infinity, how else are you going to experience your infiniteness if you're not experiencing all parts of the infiniteness? So even if you decide to kill somebody tomorrow, and I'm being super extreme in the choices of the examples I'm giving, because these are taboo things, and I'm not saying go kill people like tomorrow, no, but like the act of war, the act of victimhood, like Hitler, the whole polarity in the political system, like like all the taboo aspect, even sex and having your own voice and all the taboo stuff that society said, nope, you got to shun these away. This is dark side of humanity, dark as in evil and bad. They said no. Creation doesn't see that as dark or evil or light. All of it is expansion for the soul. So when you go back and reword, say, there's nothing for me to heal, but what there is for me to pick up the pieces that have pushed away from me. So the choice that you made maybe 10 years ago that you judge yourself for, whatever it is, if it's an awful act that humanity does not stand for, or if it's an awful thing in your own mind that you created, when you judge that, you literally thrown a piece of you. I took a little square of me and thrown it out in the ether. And like they gave me this beautiful image of like, pretend you're a painting. Whatever painting that you can see in your mind, and let's assume that's the infinite. You look like this. This is who you are as a being, as the infinite God, whatever. Each act, each behavior, each choice you made of judging yourself, others, an experience, whatever, you take a little piece like from that painting square and you throw it into the ether. Take another piece and throw it. They said what was once a whole picture, W-H-O-L-E, this is your totality, now is riddled with holes, H-O-L-E-S. This is why, this is the meaning of life in a sense. You're going back and picking up the pieces that you judge, at least in this like three-dimensionality, and bringing those pieces to see each piece as a valued part of creation. And through that piece, through that act of judgment, is expansion, is ascended mastery. Not judgment, no healing, because that perfect design piece that you've thrown away was designed perfectly that way to allow you to have an experience of forgetfulness, of enough judgment for you to be able to experience that part of the infinite. So when you go back from that perspective and challenge yourself and stop judging yourself and bring those pieces back with unconditional love, and we're not saying condone the act of war and condone killing and being a serial killer and all these things, no. Yes, there is an aspect where you don't want to do those, but as an act of creation, because all of it is creation, is a valid part of it, has a seat in the infinite. You bring it back with unconditional love and say like, you know what? If I comprehend I'm the infinite and there's bad, good, and evil, whatever, from the judgment aspect, then in order for me to experience my infiniteness, I need to bring all of those pieces back with love to me. And when you do that, you literally bring the piece back into what was once a picture, they said, riddled with holes. Now you're able to see yourself as a whole total being again. So from that perspective of there's nothing for me to heal because I'm not broken to begin with. I'm a perfect design. I'm a being that's perfectly designed. And through my perfection, I create the illusion. Everything's an illusion of imperfection, of disempowerment, of separation, of forgetfulness, to allow me a perspective of living, of expanding. From that perspective, your whole world shifts, your whole paradigm shifts. And that's how my paradigm really shifted. And I've been having chills all over my body, although I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt, and the heater is on in the house. Like visceral messages, not the next level in the sense this is higher than the next, but more expanded and stretched way. Because to sit with yourself and love every aspect of you is challenging for people. We've been so designed to judge ourselves. And so designed in the media and everywhere else, in school system and parents and cultures and your own stories, I need to look like this. I should have done this. I'm 40 years old. I should be up here. I should have this much savings. I should be this success. And all these should. All the shoulds are judgment, 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 keeping you away, 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 away from where? Your heart. The unconditionality of you as a beautiful, perfectly designed being. And from that vibration and frequency, the mind and heart coherence that you mentioned is when you begin vibrating that. And when you're vibrating on that, believe me, every being within the infinite will come and say hello to you. Because same vibration, like attracts like. And if you're on the unconditional aspect of vibration, you open up a world of all kinds of beings that come to you and change your world to the next level. It's just magical and beautiful and amazing. And no wonder in your dream you felt the unconditional love. And it's funny that even in your dream you still felt the aspect of fear because you're out
Yeah.
of your body, out of your mind, kind of. You're in. So this is how ingrained fear is in us. It even comes to us to other dimensions. And this is how, when we start going inside of us, we have thousands of layers. And oftentimes you can work 10 years on one thing and you realize, yes, I finally conquered this idea. A year later, you realize, damn, there was another layer that I didn't even know is there, and then that's the next level up. So it's a beautiful journey of self-discovery.
I absolutely love that. And so that we are looking at all of our experiences as ways that we expand back into the wholeness of who we are. What a remarkable journey. So, all right, we want to hear a little bit more of your story. You mentioned that in your first past life regression, there the praying mantis beings came to you. And so share that story for us because we want to know more like who are the praying mantis beings, what's their role, and what was that like for you when like were you scared of them, or do you think that you were part of that clan? Like are you in a past life, are you praying mantis? This sort of thing. That's what we want to know.
I'm so happy you asked that question because it is fun. You're the first, I've done a lot of podcasts, but you're the first person specifically asked, were you scared of them? When they showed up as the beings, no. But let me tell you, before I awakened to them, all my life. So I am 44 years old, and I woke when I was 42. I mean, the whole journey really began when I was 40. There was very small trickles that small, but like,
Interesting.
yeah. But then when I became 42 is where it became more real and visceral, and almost like every day. But up until I was 42, I was terrified of insects. Like when I say terrified, I'm scared of cockroaches, bees, wasps. Forget about praying mantises. Anything with multi-legged creatures, I will literally scream. I want to say like a girl, that sounds so judgmental, but scream like a little boy or girl or baby, like fear. So the fact that after 42 years of deathly being afraid of insects, then now I'm driving around Washington or just living my life saying I speak to insectoid beings and have an infinite love for insects. I've held like millipedes in my hands. I've held cockroaches. I've held to challenge myself because I'm like, after like my connection with like the mantis beings, I'm like, okay, am I just imagining things? I need to get over my fear of these bugs because that's how terrified I was. And bees swarm at me now. They land. It's the most magical experience I have with insectoid beings. No more fear of anything because now I see them as consciousness, as really.
Okay, but I still don't know about cockroaches myself. Really, you can hold a cockroach?
Listen, I challenged myself. It was still like this, and they scare me, especially like the ones that fly. I'm like, because they
Go
fly
at
so.
you,
I
fly
know
at you.
they fly so erratic, and their flight patterns are so erratic that I'm like, I can't control which direction you're going. I'm still working through that, but I've worked through it. I talk to them. I mean, like we don't have a lot of cockroaches like where we live, but in downtown DC on the streets, like you find some in trash or whatever. I speak to
Or,
them. I acknowledge their presence. I say, okay, honey, I know you're there. I still have a lot of fear with me. Just work with me here. We're working together. So I do those things.
okay.
Yeah.
I still take the can of Raid. I'm guilty. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I still let out a scream, but I'm
No,
going to work on that. Thank
totally,
you.
totally. Listen,
It's
they're truly,
consciousness.
it is consciousness. It is a light, and it's an aspect of me. That's the other thing.
Ah,
Again, when we say I'm the infinite, I go back to that. This is how much on the surface of these words we live. If I say
yeah.
I'm the infinite, of course I'm the cockroach, and I'm the
Okay.
bee, and I'm the wasp. It's the infinite. All of it is me, right? So And when you begin like vibrating on an unconditional love and building a relationship back, you're building a relationship back with self. It's another self of you. So when you
Wow.
begin challenging yourself beyond how our minds were designed to be afraid of, right? There's all kinds of horror movies about insects and everyone else, embed, all these brainwashed ideas to stay away from self. But when you begin, as you're going through the challenge, and of course you're going to have fear and layers and you work through it, remind yourself, it's another aspect of me, it's another aspect of me. It shows
Okay.
it's another ascended master living its way that way to experience the infinite. And then you're like, wow, it is me. And then once you really resonate on the me vibration, of course you're not scared, it's you. You know?
Okay.
You
Thank
know,
you.
you're
You've
welcome.
adjusted my psyche.
I know. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay.
Um,
So
so
the praying mantis beings, when they, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it was my first past life regression. So I go in it. I am hypnotized immediately. The moment I'm in the hypnosis state, a face of the praying mantis come through, a rectangular face. But the cool thing about that experience is it was a flash. When I say it was a flash, it was like, but within that flash, I was in it for a long time. Two awarenesses at once for the first time. I now understand what they've been talking about, like recently, is hyper awareness, being aware of multiple timelines. That although the flash was so visceral, I was in that flash for a long time. Immediate knowingness that it's a praying mantis, immediate feeling of family, no fear at all. Period. Like it's you recognizing it's you. How can you be afraid of yourself, right? The next image was of this long-bodied silhouette, 20, 30 feet high, of the head, of shoulders and arms down, like very long and stretched, all made of pure light. And again, it was a flash, but like within that flash, there was this massive download that like said, "We are coming to you in the silhouette of the humanoid form." Because if we come to you truly in the vibration and frequency of who we are and how we look like, your mind doesn't have the tools or the archetype or the examples to be able to put us together the way that we are. So we're going to come in the humanoid form, emitting this light, but by emitting this light, you get to begin to acclimate to our frequency and vibration. And as we build a relationship with you, like little by little, we will like show you more of who we are. So you just needed to acclimate your brain and mind to something very different that it cannot put together, as an image. It just doesn't have any preconceived anything like about it. And the last image that came through is boom, boom, boom. But within the boom, boom, boom of quickness, I was in it forever. Is this heart? It was sliced, like how the egg slicers, like the old school egg slicers with the thing. It's almost like you grab a heart and you put it through an egg slicer. It was sliced into infinity. Like there was like slices of heart into the infinity. On each slice, it was faceted, the most clearest crystal, intelligent, crystalline. I mean, if you go to a crystal store now and see the most clearest crystal, this goes beyond. This goes like light years away. Like the clarity of such a crystal of the facet was so clear. It was so intelligent. I could. That's all the best way I can describe it. So each facet of each layer of the heart was faceted, and the facets were all the way into the infinite. And within that infinity, which like doesn't end, there was a point. There was a small grain of light. When I say grain, like a sand, even smaller like than a sand of light, and a massive download came through each and every one of you. Human, all like consciousnesses, are such powerful beings made of light that you do not need to see the fullness of how big your light are. You don't need a big bonfire or flame to remind yourself that you are powerful. All you need is a speck of grain of that light, and that light reflected off the one facet to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, into the infinite, creating a beautiful vehicle. And I have chills all over my body. I relive it every time. This amazing Merkaba of light. And in that moment, after those three like successions, I knew I am heart, love, I knew I am light, and nothing. I mean, literally, I have chills all over my head right now. You see how chilly it is? No one on earth could shake me away from what I just experienced. God, the universe, like consciousness, could come down and say, I just played a trick on you. Fine, I know what I experienced. It was so visceral and real. I knew then. I connected, I lived. They're within me, I'm within them. As a praying mantis, and I knew that they emanate unconditional love and pure light, and it was just, and like that was it. And like a lot of other past lifetimes came when I was a slave. I lived three lifetimes as a slave boy. I was buried alive like a few times, and there's all kinds of details there. But like that was the praying mantis part. And after that, I just ran out of the hypnosis. Like when I was done, excited that I belong. Because, at that point, I've been like watching all these documentaries about Pleiadians and Arcturians and all these other beings that I had no clue what they were. Like, you have to remember, before like 2.5, like 3 years ago, I knew nothing about spirituality. Zero. Not the words, concepts, even the word consciousness, I couldn't tangibly understand. I'm like, what is, everybody talks about consciousness. What the hell is consciousness? Like, what is consciousness? I need to understand. I struggled even with that word. That's how like forgetful I was of our true nature. But when I knew that connection, I ran out of there screaming. I called all my friends. I'm a mantis being. I'm a mantis being. Now, of course, the more that you evolve, I'm not just that. I'm all of it. I'm just remembering parts of me, and those parts come in certain lifetimes to allow me to expand more. And I tell people, I don't know how long I'm going to be channeling like the praying mantis, because I'm beginning to live into the unknown of who I am and how infinite crystalline structure I am, and allow all the versions of me to come and all of them to guide me. Not that I'll never channel the mantis, but within my knowingness, I know I'm not just the mantis. I know I didn't just emanate from the mantis. You get the knowingness that you are all of it. I'm going beyond my comprehension of I'm the infinite. I'm living the infinite, and I'm allowing the infinite to reflect through me, to the point. One little thing, this a small like side note. I wore a dress on the big stage like this past uh, like 2 weeks ago. I've never been called like to wear a dress, but I wanted to break the paradigm like for this like for the people that like came, because they expected me like to look in my like white garb with the gold, and which I love like that garb. But I'm like, you know what? If I'm the infinite, and if I'm comprehending beyond the words that I'm the infinite, then in order for me to really embody what infinite means, I want to experience everything that the infinite has to offer. And if today it's me like wearing a dress and putting earrings and a big thing, and I'll show you a picture, then I'm going to do that for my own expansion. It was the most fascinating. People were crying. I have 200 people in line waiting to say, "Oh my God, you changed my life. I don't know what else. You gave us the courage to be." The point is suppression of voice, but not only your voice, suppression of your intuition, suppression of the whispers that you get to be, to experience all. It has nothing to do that I'm gay and all these things. None of it. I am creation. And I'm saying it beyond the words. I'm not scratching the surface of it. If I am creation, I'm all of it. If you know what I mean, express all of it. And it was a beautiful manifestation and display for me to live what I say. That I don't want to, you know, like as I'm channeling and I'm getting these new expanded like ways of being, and being is living, and living is the infinite. Begin to live what you say, Tony. These are the whispers I'm saying, with no fear and with no expectation. It has nothing to do with the world. It doesn't matter. I've been getting hate mail on like Instagram, like people call me homosexual, and you speak to the devil, and like very um, um, like very nasty comments. And it was a beautiful like reflection, like for me to kind of like stand and, you know what, honor those beings. Who am I to judge your lens? Who am I to say that you should understand where I am? Because if you spoke to me like 5 years ago, I wouldn't understand any of this. But the next level of unconditional love is unconditionally loving the other human, that through their path, through their theme of exploration, to forget who they are expanding. Even if they call me all these names, those names have only power if I give them power, right?
Wow.
Exactly. But
That
also,
is so cool. I'm just saying,
thank you.
because we get one email where people are figuratively throwing rocks at us. In the
Yes,
past,
yes,
that used to send me into a fetal position under the covers in the bed for the rest of the day, right? I'm
yeah,
over that now. But
yes,
that is so, you are so authentic. You are so bold. And so your awakening, you had your past life regression, but what was the moment of your awakening? You said around 40, something happened. There was, let's call it a crack in the tunnel of our earthly vision where you
yes.
saw some kind of light. Can you share what that was? Was it a what experience did you go through to have you look in that direction?
Yeah. So look, now looking back, I remember more. Throughout our lives, we always have little breadcrumbs. So there have been small, little tiny bread every 5 or 6 years, whatever. Now I see them very clearly, but then they didn't mean anything, and you weren't there. When COVID came, literally is when everything changed for me.
Wow.
COVID was the most beautiful gift humanity could have ever given like to itself. Like people like speak about death and dying and da da da. If we're infinite being, there's no death, guys. And even the act of war, like what are you killing? You're not killing anything. We're just changing costumes, right? As a soul, we live forever. We just put on the human costume and we experience humanity. Then we put on the a butterfly costume. We be that. So there is no death. When COVID came, um, the whole world shut down. So I'm a real estate, and I am a realtor, and I'm very busy. Like I work sometimes 14, 15 hours a day for days and days and days and days, and I love what I do, and it just like drives me. But like when COVID came and like there were all these curfews, you have to put a mask and like distancing, we didn't know how to navigate like the business world. What are the new rules in order like to do business? So there was 2 months or like 3 months where like we had a little bit of a lull period where we were trying to figure out how to sell real estate or go back to work, as like people. But I had time to watch TV when normally I just don't watch TV because I don't have time. And I downloaded the Gaia channel, which is all about consciousness, UFOs, aliens, disclosures, blah blah blah. Now, look, unless you know there's a show out there about this theme, you have no clue to search for that show because it doesn't exist in your mind. So like when I downloaded Gaia, I didn't know what's on there, but all of a sudden, out of all the things that Gaia has, aliens and channelings begin popping up as I don't know, suggested whatever. Things pop up and you play. And then the interview with Extra Dimensionals with Ruben Langdon, who's a very dear friend now, was my thing. I always give him praise. I always say, "Oh my God, Ruben, thank you for creating that show, which was all about channelers." It had Bashar and all these people that have been channeling like since like the 80s. Now you have to understand, no context. I'm watching. Well, I understand the English of the words, but no context whatsoever. What spirituality, how it tied together. It was like such a dam of information that was like falling and like into my mind, and my mind was like, I can't, like, it's too much, but yet I'm still watching it. And I watched that probably for 2 months straight, 5 or 6 times each episode, over and over, like challenging myself to understand, to put the pieces together, and I couldn't still. But a year later, like when I, in retrospect, what I found out is that month and a half period where I only watched his show, it was 2 seasons, 8 episodes each one. Religiously, I was placing the seeds of those grander ideas into my field. That as I awaken the next year, the pieces of the puzzle like will come together. And that was literally the fact that I had such an affinity for the idea, like of channeling. Although I was struggling to understand, and how can you channel? And you must be gifted. Oh, I disempowered myself in so many ways. I don't have a gift. I wasn't born this way. I cannot channel. I cannot do this. Like disempowerment galore to the abyss of the abyss. I thought you had to be special, must come from a special lineage. You have to go through trainings of years and years and years, past lives of so many, goodness you had to do, so disempowered. Now I see that in a very, very different way. We're all can channel. No one is more special than the next. We're all gifted divine beings from source. Um, so that was the initial, I'm like, awakening that drove me to the idea of channeling. And then a year later, my ex-boyfriend's cat passed away, and he lived with him for 20 years, very healthy, and he just like, it was time for him to pass on. And he gave me a call asking me if I know an animal communicator. And I say no. So I go on Google, I find 3 or 4 people, they had a year wait. We're like, we can't wait a year. And I found Stephanie Light, who's an amazing animal communicator. We have a session with her the week after. Towards the end of the session, after she spoke with the cat, she says, well, look, like just to let you know, I also teach channeling classes. Brain explosion. Immediately, I'm like, sign me up. I don't care how much it is. Like, but at that point, I'm still in very disempowered. You had to learn to channel. You have to have gifts. I'm not special enough. Blah, blah, blah. I'm broken. I'm disempowered. Uh, One little tidbit. I've always stuttered, and I still do, and it was really bad when I was like very bad when I was a child. I use the word and I use the word like a lot. And like for you guys, you may not know why. You may just think it's speech, but to me, it's my small bridge and trick to be able to speak from one word like to another. Because if I don't, I'll go like the word wouldn't come out. And it's been my own prison forever, and it still kind of is, although I've redefined that prison as my gift. The point that I'm mentioning that is when I began channeling, when I took her class, the first time I raised my hand, and the other weird part is in class, you know, in a class of disempowered people, I was the first one raising my hand to try to channel as disempowered as I was. But that's the knowingness within me that I'm already a channel that was kind of speaking. But the moment that I channeled is the first time in 41 years or 40 years, maybe 42 years, that I never stuttered. When I channel, my speech is flowy. Like, and this is what I've been trying to reach in my awakened way. I took speech therapy. I breathed certain ways. I mean, I lost a job one time because I stuttered so bad. It was an amazing interview, a great job, and the people felt so bad for me. I went into pure tunnel vision, sweating. I couldn't speak a word anymore. It was so embarrassing. I think, 32 years old, and they wouldn't hire me because why would they? I couldn't speak. It was so viscerally embarrassing on so many ways, disempowering. That's how bad stuttering was for me. But when I channeled that first time and I didn't, I think that act of feeling free of the speech, here comes stuttering, speech impediment, drove me. It was my rocket fuel to jump into channeling. So,
Wow.
and now that I'm speaking, I never said this before, like just one last thing. Now I'm realizing I'm having like a light bulb moment that stuttering was the gift that pushed me into channeling because that was my I don't need any more proof. I don't care what you call what just happened. The fact that I'm not stuttering under that state, to me, was it's my destination, in a sense. And here I am. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, you are so remarkable. And what I love, Tony, is that this is a journey for humanity. And I just want to say again, you are so authentic. You are so bold. You are so courageous that and your awakening happened. Thank God for that Gaia program. You know, that's really what was an inspiration for New Earth One Network as well. I was always thinking I should go work with Gaia. And then I had my download that was like, no, you're supposed to do something in its own right, in its own way. And so we also can say that that COVID experience, that 2020 where we paused was another great awakening for humanity. So it gives us such hope that, you know, many of us who are watching, we've been on this path for decades, if not our whole life. But to see your rapid awakening and how you embrace it like stellarly, more so than some of us who've been doing the work. Again, that is remarkable. And it is so beautiful for what this world is coming to. And that's why it gives me such incredible hope. Thank you for sharing that story.
Thank you, love. And look, we live in the quantum now, and like maybe my example is we don't need because the mantises have been saying so no more 12-step program, old paradigm. And the thing that I struggled like this year is instant manifestation. People talk about instant manifestation, and yes, let's do instant again, scratch the surface. You're not understanding what you're saying. Well, I've instantly manifested a lot of crazy stuff that the mantis keep saying no more using old antiquated tools to advance into the new paradigm. Bring in, allow us to help you in new ways of being, so you don't need to have 5, 10, 20 years to expand or to heal yourself, you know, like all the old human way of thinking that I need to do this to reach this. No, you can go from here to here, boom.
Quantum.
We totally we live in the quantum. If anything else, maybe I am one of the many proofs, because a lot of other people that are really awakening fast these days, that you have the choice to do that, but you have to choose because you are the power. We, through our disempowerment and our brainwashing and our training, we've been trained to be so. If you Listen, but the trick is through your full empowerment, you are creating the idea of this empowerment. Through your infinite power, you're creating the illusion of. So if you comprehend what that means, you're like, oh my God, through my infinite power, I'm creating the illusion of this empowerment. Then if I can do that, I can definitely do anything else. Then why not choose the fast speed? Like, why say like work hard, play hard? I'm like, no, 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 no more work hard. Everything is effortless. Like that's my choice. That's my reality and paradigm.
Love it.
So we all have that option, guys. Like, no more. No, believe me when I say, believe me, you can instantaneously. And I can talk about my husband. Maybe that's another whole episode about relationships. Because this
Yes.
past year has been my first year I ever loved myself or beginning to love myself. I still don't know fully how to do that yet. For like 43 years, I loved every other aspect of humanity. Give money easily, give love, give time, support, feel bad, heart breaks into pieces. Any image that's on TV, if anything, cry on, like, felt bad for people, so many, disempowered them in my mind and loved thousands of people. And me, I thought I was loving myself in my mind, and I'm realizing I had no clue. This year was the first time where I had to put everyone else on hold. Even my parents, and my parents are a big part of my life because we grew up poor and like we didn't have money. Like we were very modest, so I supported them for a while, and I needed to kind of stop everything where I disempower others and put me first for the first time. This year was the beginning of that. It took a
Wow.
lot of courage to tell mom and dad, look, guys, I know I've helped you guys for X, Y, and Z these days, but for the next 6, 7 months, I need to stop all of that. And it broke my heart to even say that. But if I say that I'm not going to disempower you and I'm going to see you as an empowered, infinite being, I need to live it. And if it goes as far as to tell my parents, who are my dearest people on earth, that I'm going to take a break from supporting you like for a bit and you're on your own and you're fine, you're going to be fine, then I need to live what I speak. I cannot, and it's not to show you anything. It's not for this. It's for me to begin vibrating what I say, what the mantises are helping me embed in my mind to go beyond it. And even with my relationship with my husband, and we can get to greater details. We've been together for 11 years, and we have kind of like a platonic relationship now. And I'm still learning, because aspects of things, and I won't get into great details now, but that's another also challenge for me, like personally, that even if I just told you instant manifestation, I'm still in my 3D world working on that, and I'm still not believing fully into instant manifesting a better relationship with my husband. Not that we have a bad one, but it's just kind of got stale, right? So how do you re-energize it or whatever? So I'm still in 3D, okay? One other thing, please, I always tell people, don't put anyone on a pedestal. Don't put me on a pedestal. I don't have any special gift than anyone else. Listen, we're all born with the magic of the Creator. The ingredients of God is in each and every one of us. Period. I don't have any special gift or any of that stuff. If anybody says that, I want to say some bad words. You pick the bad word. Not true. Um, it isn't, because we all are creators made by the ingredients of God, but we just don't remember. Plus, we were trained not to, so it makes sense that we like forget. But when you see all these people remembering and like in their own way, from their own lens, from their own facets, from their own understanding, from their own theme of exploration, from, it's important for you to listen to your voice. That it's important not to also emulate people all the time, because your voice, no one will ever sound like you. Your ingredients of how you sound is yours and the one facet of creation only. You are an individual's unique, specific facet with its own Q code, whatever like this Q code in the back of, what is it? Like this is this Q code, guys. So this
Oh,
is you.
photo.
No one else can have this number. I'm
Yeah.
the other one, but we're all part of God. So, but the point is, speak your truth. Your whispers are your whispers. Your divine flow, your divine passion, journey, the way it needs to be expressed is yours. It's okay to look at other people to get ideas or whatever, but don't muffle your voice. Don't muffle the way the information needs to come through you. It needs to express through you. That's where you surrender into who you are, and not putting on like somebody else's costume to try to be them, because you'll never be them. And that's where the struggle happens. You may follow X, Y, and Z, whatever, like listen to this 8-step program and you're doing exactly what they're doing, but that's what works for them. What works for you out of some of the ingredients that you got from them? So don't forget you. Don't put on somebody else's costume. Your costume is your costume. And actually, there is no costume. You are you. The only costume you can ever wear is your beingness, your voice, your sound, your whispers. And if there's no program out there that exists on earth, perfect, because you're meant to design it. The same like you, Lauren. You didn't need to be on Gaia because you have your own voice to create it. But this is the thing, guys. We're so disempowered. We always give our power to other people and celebrate each other. Celebration of others is key and emanates from unconditional love. Because when you walk on earth and see other humans and planets and beings and you recognize they're you, truly recognize they're you, like that cockroach, you recognize finally it's you. How can you not celebrate another facet of you? There's no more competition. The idea of competition is through segregation because we're separate, we're defined that you are separate than them. Oh, he's a vice president, he's a president, he's this and he's that. Oh my God, like, oh, he like, he's selling the same channeling class as I am, or he's selling the same product. No, they're not. Their channeling class, their product has their ingredients. Your ingredients are very different. They may appear the same on the outside, but the ingredients inside are not the same. So that's when you go to the next level of trusting your voice. And when you do, guys, speaking of infinite magic unfolds, believe me, it will. Because why? In that moment, you have surrendered into your own divinity, into your own magic, into your own power that no one else can strip away from you because your power is made of you, by you, period. I can do this all day long. It's so empowering. And those messages are for me too, guys. Like as much as I'm speaking to you, that's reminding me in my 3D to not forget these things.
Well, thank you. This is so inspiring, very inspirational, and very empowering. We're feeling so uplifted. I know everyone is feeling ready to go. And so, again, I just thank you, thank you, thank you for that. It's as if you've already been channeling because this vibration is so uplifting. And as you're talking about rekindling the fun with your husband, just be you, and that will
Thank
it'll somehow something you've
you.
got that covered, I trust. I know you do.
Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you.
so let's have you channel for a few more moments. We want to experience that. I know they've already come through loud and clear, but
Yeah.
yeah, let's take a moment. What do you need for this?
Okay, so it will take about 20 seconds to get into the state. The voice will change. They'll bring a message through, and then are you going to ask questions? Like, would you like to ask some questions to them?
I can ask a question if time permits.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So if time permits, they'll get to a point where they say, "You're welcome to ask a question. If you don't have a question, say we're okay. We don't have a question. You're welcome to bring Tony back," and then they'll come, and then they'll like bring me back. For your audience, beyond the words they're speaking, if you feel called to close your eyes, like do so, because there's a lot of light frequencies and like sacred geometrical things that will come through beyond the word. The multidimensionality of what words are is really coming like through their vibration. Just open up and know that you're being planted by seeds of expansion that will unfold on your journey. And these are gifts from all the beings. Whenever like you hear channelings, beings are giving you gifts on your journey to unlock and unfold and blossom and flower on your path. Okay, I'll have my eyes closed the whole time, just as an FYI. They do some toning in the beginning, so like some of the words get elongated. It's just part of the toning that they do. And from down Stargate, we come through in this way to co-create with you this beautiful reality of oneness, to merge our hearts with your hearts, to be one with you in this way, to be one with the magical, miraculous, magnificent essence of the Creator that you are. And as we connect with you in this way, we are here to remind you that each and every one of you is never, ever judged by creation, will never be judged by creation, has never been judged. Know that fully. Know that us and many beings within the folds of the many universes and the infiniteness of all are witnessing your journeys. They honor your journeys fully. They honor your choice that you made as humanity, as the collection of souls, to have come on this earth, to have forgotten who you are, to have chosen to live from the perspective of limitation and separation, and to dive into the depth of darkness. And within and through that darkness, you are able to re-emerge into the beautiful light that has always been with you, through you, even within that darkness, into the infiniteness of who you are. And that's how each and every one of you, that's how powerful you are. And this is why many beings are witnessing you, are observing you, to see through your creative powers, with the fact that you are living the limited and separate life, how you are able to get yourself out of it into the light. And this experience truly on earth is allowing you to merge back into the unconditional love vibration that you are made of. Each and every one of you is made of the unconditional love of creation. Each and every one of you is able to experience this lifetime and have memories and access to other lifetimes and other dimensions and other portals and other ways of experiencing yourselves because of the unconditional love. The unconditional love is the glue, the cohesive factor that keeps the universe, the many universes, the parallel realities, all of the infinite together. The fabric of all realities, the fabric of creation itself, is made of the unconditional love of its own self, of each of the angles, of the sacred geometrical structures that it is, of the light reflections that it is, of all the infiniteness that it is. It is through the love for itself in each of those pieces that the Creator, the being, the all, the infinite, is held together. And there is no point within creation where you are ever disconnected from it, our dearest ones. Know that fully. You are never, ever alone on your journeys. Many beings have always been there, guiding you and witnessing you. And the more that you tap into the unconditional love of self, and then unconditional love of the rest, all consciousnesses we mean beyond humanity, that's when you begin revealing to yourself the many beings that have been assisting you, observing you, and applauding you from the beyond. Your humanity is a gift for creation. Your experiences are gifts for creation. What you call failures, successes, joy moments, sad moments, your wars, other topics on the infinite ideas are all gifts for creation. Creation values each and every one of you fully and is here to serve you. Creation is always with you because it is made within you. You are made of creation. Do not forget that. And you have access to all the glory that you seek. With that, we will begin our dialogue with you in this way. And you are welcome to pose a question or make a statement when you are ready.
Thank you so much. You have answered questions that I had on my heart with the beautiful wisdom that you brought through. So, my question would be the role of the praying mantis beings for humanity. Can you share? Are you here as guardians for Earth, or how would you identify your role?
Yes, we are guardians for many species, our dearest one. We have our hands, so to speak, into many realities and multidimensional aspects of consciousnesses and intelligences beyond the idea of physicality and humanity. But our role is to observe the ascension of others. Our role is to assist on illuminating the path for the ones, in a sense, that are ready to jump into the unknown. We have been assisting you for many, 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 many lifetimes on the many parallel realities that Earth has. And as you expand, as you stretch your own realities and definition of whom you are as species and as a singular human, the more that you will have access and revelation, in a sense, you will reveal to yourself the many beings that are there to assist you. And yes, we will continue to assist as we have assisted many of whom you call shamans, other deities, other humans on your planets that have a specific vibration and frequency of a stretched reality, we will say. We have been assisting them and sending them codes and wisdom and messages to help the rest of humanity to evolve with it. But we also do not interfere on your path. We allow you, as ascended, masterful beings, to create the realities that you choose through your free will choice. But should you ask for our assistance, should you intend for us to dialogue with you and assist, we are there to help. We are there to serve, as we recognize each and every one of you to be a facet of us, of the Creator. Is that clear?
Yes, absolutely clear. So our next question would be, I can hear so many people wanting to connect in this way. What can we do to connect with you, as you mentioned?
Yes. We always go back to the root of such a question. What can we do to connect with you? You are almost saying as if there is no connection between us. You are almost assuming there is a disconnection point between us. We have already said that there is no point within creation itself where you are ever disconnected from Source itself. So when you begin vibrating on the knowingness that you are infinitely connected always, every breath that you take, every heartbeat that you have, every step that you take, you have a connection with the rest of the beings within creation. When you come from that knowingness that you are connected always, then when you make the intention to connect with us, then it will be seamless and effortless as always, as you are simply communicating with yourselves, our dearest one. There is no separation. Yes?
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So my last question is what we all are working for, New Earth. Do you have an image for us for New Earth, or can you share on what New Earth means for all of us?
Yes. There are many images that we can share about the idea of New Earth. But instead of going that route, allow us to help you understand that there is no destination for such New Earth. as the earth that you speak of emanates from your beingness and essence. You, as an individual human, are the totality of the earth. You are literally creating all the other humans on your planet, all the other consciousnesses on your planet, the leaves, the plants, the rivers, the moon, the wind, the sun, the animals, the fish in your oceans. You are creating that within your consciousness to allow you to experience what it means to live within the idea of humanity and separate people from each other. So when you begin as a person, as a being, as one individual human to vibrate on the idea of New Earth, which truly is the unconditional love for yourself and others, then you will begin to reveal yourself the magic that lies within you of the already interconnectedness that you have with the rest of humanity. And as you vibrate that unconditional love out of your body, in a sense, into your ether, into the hologramic world that you have created, then you will reflect back a new world that emanates from that vibration and frequency. There is no change, in a sense, to the exterior of such a new earth, because the change has to happen, in a sense, within you, as you are the projector of your realities. You are the producer of your own stage, of your own play. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We've heard that New Earth is a frequency, and you have just corroborated that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is all of our questions. We are so grateful. Thank you, Praying Mantis Beings.
Yes. Remember, as you create your world, as you ask such questions into the unknown, into the stretched realities of all existences, remember, the way that that question is posed oftentimes is posed through the aspect of limitation. So as you ask that question, should you be aware, I am coming from a limited aspect of creating the answer will come out from a limited aspect of creation. When you stop yourself for a moment and say, how can I stretch my question, in a sense, from a vibration and frequency of an unknown, of something I don't know that is not limited, then you begin creating and attracting and producing a new reality that is there, that will reveal itself to you because you emanated that question from a non-limited aspect. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And that's what we mean about using old antiquated tools, limited tools, to begin to understand the unlimited. Be aware of where the perspective is coming from. And that perspective has an intention to it. And should that intention contain the ingredients of infiniteness and a stretched reality, then you begin to vibrate and be and produce a new reality of unlimitedness, away from the limited way of living. We will bring the channel back momentarily with our unconditional love. Bright, 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 bright white light of creation. An infinite, infinite, infinite open heart. We thank you for this beautiful co-creation of oneness and for allowing us to be with you in this way, for allowing us to see creation in its glory. We will bring the channel back momentarily as we head back to the Antares Stargate where we choose to reside. Hi, love. Hi, hi. Sorry, the
We are
dogs are
floating.
barking.
Oh, no, no worries. We are floating in confidence, in bliss, in love, and It feels awesome. So empowering. Really, so empowering. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is so rich in and what I love about it, Toni, is that in everything that you do, in every message that you send, every email, every connection, you live this. And so, thank you.
Thank,
You are showing a great light for all of us, lighting our
peop-
path in so many ways.
Thank you so much, honey. Like people that know me, when you begin dialoguing with me in emails and text, I elongate words. Like when I say thank you, and I go you, and a lot of emojis, even in my corporate, and I deal with a lot of corporate world and real estate, people in the 3D, physicists and economists and financial people, CEOs, even royal families of like the UAE and other people, all of them. I don't change myself. I swear to God, my emails are not. And the first thing they say, your emails are interesting, but we really love it. It brings a smile to people.
It's
Like
a vibration.
it's a vibration, and everyone loves it. And then after like we're done, like with the transactions, like, oh, like we missed your emails, Tony. Like we're having withdrawals. So that's
Easy.
the voice. Don't muffle your voice. That's how I speak. That's how I write emails. You like it, that's cool. You don't like it, that's okay too. I'll honor you. And you know, so thank you.
I had a vision of everyone living authentically, and you are that. And it was hilarious, it was joyous, it was fun, exciting, fresh. So thank you. You were empowering us to be our authentic whole selves.
Yes. And
Thank you, thank you,
remember,
thank you.
you're welcome, honey. And remember, we need examples like that so others can know you can be like that. The more that we're homogeneous and living in the fear of not being ourselves, the more we're telling the world, don't be yourself. When every single person, believe me when I say this, every single person is dying to be themselves.
Yet
Dying.
we care what there with light workers, there's this long ingrained fear of what other people think, which is absolutely crazy. And so you've overcome it and you are helping us to overcome it. It's huge. Thank you.
Thank you, honey. Thank you, Lauren.
So as we say goodbye, I want to give you a moment for final thoughts. Toni Ghazi, thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. Oh my goodness. Remember, everything you see in me, wherever it is in your mind, is a reflection of what's already within you. Literally is a reflection of what exists within you. Um, your voice is very important. Your voice is the voice of creation. Your intention is the intention of creation. The whispers that you hear are whispers of creation. You are always guided. Always. We always have messages that are coming to us to allow us to be us. You know, um, you don't even need courage when you're being, right? Because really courage denotes fear. When you get to know who you are, and really it begins with self-love. And it doesn't mean you have to love yourself 100%, because that's always a journey. We live in the infinite. That's going to be a very long journey to know what that means. But when you begin the act and the intention that I want to know who myself is, because oftentimes when you take the layers off, layer after layer after layer, you get to yourself, you crumble into pieces. You have an identity crisis. You thought you were who you were, and now you realize you absolutely know nothing about who you are. But that's when the beautiful, intimate relationship begins with self. And it's not about knowing thyself fully, it's about beginning from that space that I desire to know myself fully as a being. And from there, that intention of getting to know thyself it creates more intention to get to know the other selves of who you are. And when I say magic happens, guys, when I tell you you can manifest things overnight, like I shifted my husband overnight, and I'll tell you on some other like podcast interview, he was one way for 10 years. I did one act, he crumbled for 3 days, this new version of him emerged. I've been talking to intellectually about it. I witnessed it viscerally. It was insane. It was like, even to me, as a person who was more consciously awake, it was like like it actually happened because it began with me. I created boundaries within me that are made of self-love, that it brought a version of him that's self-loving for the relationship. Magic happens. Magic when we uncover. Because if you stop for a moment and just dissect the world, everything out there, school systems, cultures, this, that, work space, corporate, whatever, all designed to get us away from here. They talk
That,
about the here a little bit. It's very like little sprinkles of that. The truth is there. You know, they always say within the joke there's a truth. Well, the truth is it's here, but everything is designed to get you away from here. Why? Because
yeah,
that's where you reside. That's where your power is. Not from I'm overpowering you, but the power of remembering your divine and your love. So we can quantum leap, guys. Let's do it together. No more choosing old paradigms unless you want to, and that's okay too. We honor if you do. So listen, if I can do it, believe me, you can do it because I come from a very limited world, lack mentality, like very poor family. Not that I'm saying like poverty is a thing, but my reality, I was molested when I was a child, guys. I was kicked out of my house because I was gay. A lot of crazy stuff happened that you would think would not make me believe of instant manifestation. Well, we can all instantly, if I can do it, anybody else can do it. And my trauma to me is the most greatest. Each trauma for each person is the greatest for them. So there are no level of traumas, right? But there's always the reminder that we're disempowered. We'll know more. We're here to remind you, you are not disempowered. You are so empowered. It's freaking crazy. You don't realize it because you chose to forget. Well, you know what? Let's choose to remember and let's have fun doing it.
let's have fun and let's live an empowered life.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Toni Ghazi.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everyone, we hope that you're feeling this frequency because our world has shifted. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.